Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown, the unofficial sumo podcast for official sumo fans. This is Jake.
This is Ryan, and this is a travesty, and this is also the Banzuke recap for the Hatsu Basho.
Why did we change the order of the intro again, Ryan? I just don't remember how what resulted in that.
We tied in our year-end prediction scores and a joke bonus hundredth of a point that we awarded you in our post Nagoya catch up on our 2024 predictions. Gave you the tiebreaker over me because I did not have a joke hundredth of a point to separate me from you. So,
Well, you'll have a year to sit on that mistake.
definitely not happening again. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh man, God, and that's so much better than beating you outright and having the. Had I just won fair and square and I get to introduce the podcast, that'd be one thing. But like beating you on a silly technicality that was your own fault, so that I'm ahead of you. Well,
We're
I don't
using
know.
that word
Should we check the
awfully
tape?
liberally here.
Should we check the tape from 60 seconds ago when I introduced the podcast? Because it sure looked like I introduced it.
Ugh. 2025 sucks.
Oh, this is the best.
So yes, here we are to discuss the Hatsu Banzuke, which was released a week and a half ago. But you know what? That was right within the Christmas season, holiday season. It is January 1st, 2025, as we are recording this. So we were busy. I'm sorry.
What are you gonna do?
They released it a week earlier than they were supposed to. So honestly, this is on the Banzuke committee.
Yeah, let's write them a letter from JSA West.
Yeah, absolutely. We will need to do that. So let's dive right into the Banzuke. But before we do that, actually, if you are watching on YouTube, as always, we have on your screen two Banzukes. On the right-hand side is my prediction. Rikshi with a blue color received a promotion. I predicted to receive a promotion from the previous Basho, and the Rikshi with a red color are going to have a demotion. And then we're going to be revealing the Hatsu Banzuke as we go through, as it was actually written by the Banzuke committee. Anybody with a blue background to their name is going to be placed slightly higher than I predicted them to go. Anybody with a red background will be slightly lower than I predicted them to go. And anybody with a white background will be exactly where I predicted them to go. And let's go with somebody who has been a white background for at least the past 3 consecutive years. Our sole Yokozuna on the east side, Teruno Fuji. And once again, for 3.5 consecutive years, there's nobody next to him on the west side of the Yokozuna rank. Hopefully
Excited
in
for that to
2025,
maybe change. Yeah.
that will change.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that can make that change are sitting at Ozeki 1 on the east side. We will, of course, have Kotozakura. On the west side, we will have Hoshoryu, and at Ozeki 2 West, we will have Onosato. Those Rikshi are in the same exact order as they were last Basho. As they finished, Kotozakura had the most wins, then Hoshoryu, then Onosato. So that is the way they will remain ordered for this Basho.
Yeah, the Ozeki are always easy because the only time that they're always just ordered by how many wins did they get last tournament. The only exceptions are if there's a new Ozeki, they're always last. And that's completely it. There's never any other changes. So that one's nice and easy.
Yep. So let's hop down to the Sekiwake rank and add a little bit of color to the Hatsu Banzuke side of the YouTube video, where on the east side, we are going to have Wakamoto Haru rising 1 rank from Komusubi after a 10-5 record. And at Sekiwake West, we have Daisho staying right where he was last time after an 8-7 record. So in my prediction, I assumed that Daisho would fill the Sekiwake East slot, similar to how after the Natsu Basho, Abi moved from Sekiwake West to Sekiwake East after he had a 10-5 record, despite Onosato at Komusubi having a 12-3 record plus the Yusho. Onosato did not jump Abi in this situation, but as you can see here, Wakamoto Haru did jump over Daisho. And I've got that. That could be one of 3 reasons. So 1, it could be Wakamoto Haru was Komusubi East and Onosato was Sekiwake West. So east side bias could have benefited Wakamoto Haru here.
You're just talking about like why this result was different than the last time when they were pretty close to the same situation?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yes. So, and in the last time, Abi was Sekiwake West, but Onosato was also Komusubi West. So maybe Wakamoto Haru
Hmm.
had an east side bias this time that Onosato did not have. Daisho had 8 wins this Basho compared to Abi's 10 back in May when Onosato did not jump him. So maybe Abi having double-digit wins kind of forced him ahead of Onosato. Or maybe the Banzuke committee flipped a coin. Those are my three things
Yeah.
that I could have for why Wakamoto Haru jumped ahead of Daisho here when Onosato did not after winning the U show back in May.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
And then let's jump down to the Komusubi rank. Speaking of Abi, we have him rising 3 ranks to Maegashira 3, from Maegashira 3 to Komusubi East after an 11-4 record. And on the west side, we have Wakataka Kage rising 2 ranks from Maegashira 2 to Komusubi after a 10-5 record. Sanyaku ranks, besides the flip between Wakamoto Haru and Daisho, fairly clean and clear cut this Basho. There wasn't really any controversy about who was going to get in there or are we going to create any extra slots or anything like that. Pretty simple for the Sanyaku ranks, despite the fact that I didn't actually get it all the way right. Um,
Well, just because it was based on a coin flip doesn't mean that it was complicated.
right.
That's still
Yeah.
simple, even if it wasn't perfect.
Yeah, exactly. We'll drop down to the Maegashira 1 rank where we're going to have Taka no Sho at Maegashira 1 East, rising up 5 ranks from Maegashira 6 after an 11-4 record. And then at Maegashira 1 West, we have Kirishima dropping out of the Sanyaku ranks for the first time since, looks like July of
30 years.
2022.
Wow.
No, July of 2022. So 2.5 years, the first time he will be out of the Sanyaku ranks. He had a 6-9 record from Sekiwake, and Kirishima's all the way out of Ozeki talk. He's all the way out of there.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
he's
We're starting
now.
that whole thing over.
We'll see if he just becomes Shodai and Mitaka Yumi just kind of, yeah, we're still here. We're never going to threaten for it. Or will he make another true run at the Ozeki rank? Hopefully the latter, but I'm guessing the former. Maegashira 2. This is my next kind of area where, yeah, what happened here? We've got Tobizaru at Maegashira 2 East, rising 3 ranks from Maegashira 5 after a 9-6 record. And then at Maegashira 2 West, we have Atami Fuji rising 1 rank from Maegashira 3 after an 8-7 record. So in my prediction, I had Atami Fuji ahead of Tobizaru. I also had Gonoyama ahead of Tobizaru, but I had assumed that at least in Atami Fuji's case, he would have joy bias on his side. He was ranked Maegashira 3, and Tobizaru was ranked Maegashira 5. He should be well outside of the joy and getting any sort of bias there. So Atami Fuji should have gotten bias, but that wasn't the case here, as Tobizaru goes ahead of Atami Fuji, because that is what the math demanded, because they deserve to be the same rank, and Tobizaru was on the east side, Atami Fuji was on the west side, so maybe that's why they decided to throw Tobizaru ahead of Atami Fuji here, despite the joy bias that Atami Fuji would have.
I'm getting a little whiplash from joy bias coming and going.
Well, get ready to feel some more whiplash, because at Maegashira 3
Awesome.
East, that is where Gonoyama lands, rising 5 ranks from Maegashira 8 after an 11-4 record. So once I get to Tobizaru also passing Gonoyama, I switch from Atami Fuji wasn't denied of joy bias. Maybe Tobizaru got a form of joy bias as well, because that is
Hmm.
the only reason I can think of why Tobizaru went ahead of Gonoyama, because Gonoyama deserved to be 1 rank ahead of both Atami Fuji and Tobizaru,
Oh,
yet
weird.
he
Okay.
ends up behind them both. So the reason why I think Tobizaru might have ended up here and got some joy bias, despite him being Maegashira 5, he fought 5 Sanyaku matches, so maybe he
Hmm.
received the benefit of that tougher schedule, and they kind of considered him joy for this Basho when compared to Gonoyama. But
Yeah, that
otherwise,
in hindsight, that seems fairly straightforward that yeah, that he should count as in the Joy if he had that strong of a schedule.
Yeah, it's been pretty inconsistent with those like Maegashira 4,
Yeah.
Maegashira 5 guys who like numerically aren't really in the Joy, but end up because of absences fighting a Joy schedule where they're going up against the Sanyaku Rikshi a lot. It seems like this new Banzuke committee have been favoring the Maegashira 4, especially recently, and now it's extending even down to Maegashira 5. So it might be something to kind of keep track of more. With this new Banzuke committee that we've got.
Yeah, because we didn't have I mean Terunofuji was out from the beginning. So
Yep.
I mean that kind of extends the joy by a half rank for like which guys are in the top 16 that would theoretically be facing each other.
Yeah, that would
But
automatically put Tobizaru in the top 16 if Terunofuji's not there.
gotcha. Okay. So yeah, I guess in my mind that I don't know, maybe that doesn't feel quite as mysterious then. It kind of makes sense that they would give him a bit of a boost for that.
Yeah, it's
Especially
just
if somebody had dropped out halfway through, like one of the Ozeki or something like that, and there was like maybe Tobizaru got half of a Joy schedule, that would be certainly a different, weirder case. But if he was facing the top guys like from the beginning, I don't know, that doesn't seem that terrible to count him as a member of the Joy.
no, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. It's just I think different from what we've seen typically
Sure,
in
sure.
the
Like it
past.
makes sense, even if it's inconsistent with what has happened in the past. There
Yeah,
there are multiple things that would make sense if they were consistently applied.
right. And then moving over to Maegashira 3 on the west side, we have Oho dropping 2 ranks from Maegashira 1 after a 6-9 record. Then we're going to have a streak of pretty good predictions from me for a little bit. Oh, do need to mention Tobizaru. I do have him as a luck of the Banzuke candidate and Gonoyama as a snub of the Banzuke candidate. We're actually going to have quite a few of those on this episode. Sometimes I'm kind of struggling to find some candidates. This one I was able to find quite a few for both categories.
Did you
Uh,
did you call Wakamoto Haru or Daisho for either of
nah,
those awards, or is that
nah,
just a
that's
half
fine.
rank coin flip, whatever?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Maegashira 4 on the east side. We've got Shodai dropping 4 ranks from Komusubi after his 4-11 record. And on the west side, we have Ura dropping 2 ranks from Maegashira 2 after a 5-10 record. So with that 2-rank demotion after a 5-win Basho, I do have that making Ura a luck of the Banzuke
Yeah.
candidate just for the sheer numbers of it. 3 rank under demotion for a 5-10 record is pretty good and not often
Yeah.
seen.
Even if you predicted it perfectly, that doesn't mean that
Yes,
it's not incredibly lucky.
exactly. Yeah, there's a few instances of that on this
Sure.
Banzuke. Then we get to Maegashira 5, where on the east side we got Hira de Umi dropping 4 ranks from Maegashira 1 to Maegashira 5 East after a 4-11 record. Once again, another 3-rank under demotion for some of these upper joy
Hmm.
Rikshi. And at Maegashira 5 West, got Chiyoshoma rising 9 ranks from Maegashira 14 after an
Attaboy.
11-4 record.
Yeah. Good to see him. It was a brief departure from him, but he's doing just fine. He's getting his name right back in the regular ranks for us. It's good to see him up
This
again.
was his most career wins in a Makuuchi Basho ever.
That's awesome. I think we probably mentioned that on the recap, but that's still nuts. Oh well.
Absolutely, for a guy that's in his mid 30s to
Yeah,
be
to have his
peaking.
best tournament ever.
Yeah. So I do have Chiyoshoma as a luck of the Banzuke candidate, just kind of another sheer numbers of it. Just getting a 9-rank promotion. It's a 2-rank over promotion for him based off of a expected 7-rank promotion for an 11-4 record. But anytime you're going from Maegashira 14 to Maegashira 5, where you could feasibly be fighting a decent amount of Sanyaku matches,
Hmm.
pretty lucky or unlucky, depending on how you want to look
Yeah,
at that.
any single guy. Well, I guess we'll talk about Terunofuji more on our preview. But like, if Terunofuji, if he's out and one other guy is out, then Chiyoshima would be kind of like Tobizaru. He'd be in the mix fighting all those top guys immediately. So that
Yep.
would be potentially a very difficult tournament for him. And it's very possible he'll get one or two of those upper matches anyways, just being close. So
Yep.
we'll see how it goes for him.
And as we're tracking Joy Bias, Umi definitely received Joy Bias here to land ahead of
Mm,
Chiyoshima, as Chiyoshima deserved to be one rank higher than Umi, yet as we can see, he ended up behind Umi.
sure.
Move on to Maegashira 6. On the east side, we have Takayasu rising 3 ranks from Maegashira 9 after an 8 and 7 record. And on the west side, we have Ichi Yamamoto rising to his career high rank of Maegashira 6 West, a 4 rank promotion from Maegashira 10 after an 8 and 7 record. That's
That's
a
another
three.
nominee, right?
That is indeed a luck of the Banzuke
Yeah.
nominee, getting a 3 rank over promotion after an 8 and 7 record. That's pretty lucky, especially in this range of the Banzuke. Like I feel like I've seen those a lot more towards the bottom of the Banzuke. So to get something like that here feels a little bit more special. Not unheard of, obviously. Nothing's unheard of on the Banzuke for the most part.
Yeah, we
But
watched a 6 and 9 guy not get demoted. Like
don't bring that up.
but yeah, in the we're still kind of in like we're right around the halfway point, and usually it's really tough to get those big jumps in the upper half.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ichi Yamamoto there, that's super lucky for an 8 and 7.
Yeah, a lot of lucky everybody kind of in this range is lucky. Like we're talking Shodai 3 rank under demotion, Ura 3 rank under demotion, Umi 3 rank under demotion, Chiyoshima 2 rank over promotion,
Mm-hmm.
Takayasu Ichiyamamoto 3 and 4 rank over promotions. Everybody in this range was lucky because like we talked about on the preview, nobody deserved to go in this range
Yeah,
at all.
this is a huge void that's being filled.
Yeah, and then we're coming up into an area where there's too many Rikshi to put. And when we get to the end of the Banzuke, even heck, when we get to the like M10 to M12, we're going to be over demoting Rikshi and they will have deserved it. So we're going to go from extreme need to way too many people to fill these holes. So it's kind of weird that we're getting such a. Don't worry about that, Jay. Just let that go.
I said nothing.
But yeah, it's kind of weird that we have an area of such desperate need, and then we have an overabundance of options later on in the same Banzuke.
All the holes are filled by that point. Yeah.
All of them. No holes left to be filled whatsoever.
It's a family show, Ryan. It's a family show. Let's move on.
Let's move on to our favorite hole stuffers at Maegashira 7. It's our Rikshi with 7 and 8 records that don't go anywhere. So we have Endo staying put at Maegashira 7 East after a 7 and 8 record. We've also got Yumi staying put at Maegashira 7 West after a 7 and 8 record. We also have Roga staying put at Maegashira 8 East after a 7 and 8 record. Jake, you pressed the wrong button.
Yep, I sure did.
And then at Maegashira 8 West, we have Takeda Fuji rising 2 ranks from Maegashira 10 to Maegashira 8 after an 8 and 7 record. So
yeah, I was looking at the wrong one, but I see that you have Roga and Takara Fuji switched. What was your thought process on that one?
So I assumed Takeda Fuji would go ahead of Roga here just to make sure. Roga had a 7 and 8 record. He deserved to be the same rank as Takeda Fuji. So I assumed maybe they'll just drop Roga just to give him ceremonial demotion, despite the fact that he'd be keeping the same numerical rank. But based on how our typical tiebreaker rules go, Roga was on the east side, Takeda Fuji was on the west side. So they decided just to keep Roga there because he does deserve to be ranked that slight bit higher than Takeda Fuji.
Gotcha. So you broke your own rules a little bit to try and make it make more sense, and it.
Yeah, they do that sometimes where it just seems like for no reason they'll just demote a 7 and 8 record when it would have made sense to keep them in the same spot. So I was just kind of trying to predict the zig, but I should have predicted the zag.
I wonder if there's some amount of keep it nice and orderly bias. You know, because like if there was some amount of keep it nice and orderly so it all follows the rules correctly, you know, then you would, in a situation like this where a simple tiebreaker would allow you to demote a guy with a losing record and promote a guy with a winning record, well then do that. Rather than keep Roga put, which is normally only done for a 7 and 8 guy when you need them to fill a void.
Right.
But if he didn't really need to fill this void, so yeah,
No.
if there was some level of make it make sense bias, this would have been a proper place to use it. But
Yeah.
I guess it's a good argument that no, it doesn't really have to be. It's fine. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. It's allowed to make a little bit of nonsense.
Yeah, and he is still filling a void in a way because both Roga and Takeda Fuji deserve to be ranked Maegashira 9. There was nobody else
Sure.
available that deserved to be Maegashira 8 at this point. So he is still filling a void, just not as much of one as we can already see. That's just a one rank under demotion for Roga and a one rank over promotion for Takeda Fuji. So we're already healing the Banzuke in just as soon as like 2 ranks here.
I see you putting like just putting Roga's name here and then like grass and little flowers start sprouting around it as the Banzuke heals. You
Yes.
see a rainbow and like you start hearing like birds in the trees again or something.
Yeah. And then you have a dark storm cloud off in the corner above
Don't
Takeda
worry about that.
Fuji's head.
Don't worry about that.
Because I've got Takeda Fuji as a bit of an oddball snub of the Banzuke candidate
Okay.
here. So he was over promoted by a rank and was placed exactly according to the math. So why would he be a snub? On the previous Banzuke, he was Maegashira 10 West and got an 8-7 record. And he was right next to Ichi Yamamoto, who was also Maegashira 10 and also had an 8-7
Oh
record.
God. Okay.
And yet Ichi Yamamoto ends up at Maegashira 6 with a 4 rank over promotion, and Takeda Fuji ends up 2 full ranks behind him, despite being right next to him on the previous Banzuke and
Getting the same record.
getting the same exact record.
Okay. Yep, you're
Like,
right. That's
I'm not
really
mad
stupid.
at it, and like I predicted it to be very close to that, but it is interesting how those two guys were
Yeah.
right next to each other, had the same exact record, and now they're split by 2 numerical ranks.
I didn't even think of that as we were talking through because, like, individually in a vacuum, they both kind of make sense. But
Yeah,
then
and they
it's
both
like,
absolutely make sense. I
you
have,
wait a
like I
dang
said,
second.
I have no qualms with where these guys are ranked. It's just interesting.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I agree. Yeah, he got hosed on this one.
Sometimes the math just screws you, and there's nothing you can do.
The math is a cruel mistress.
She sure is. So this next part of the Banzuke, if you remember the Banzuke prediction episode, this is where I started having a mental breakdown as I
Right.
realized the burdens of being a father and being very busy at work, which caused me to not put as much effort into this Banzuke prediction. That lack of effort started showing up here at Maegashira 9. So
If there, I think it's also fun for our listeners to know that when we were recording that episode, as soon as I clicked stop recording, Ryan just started violently swearing.
yes. I was and am very upset about it.
We'll get to your stats later on how that impacted your overall
Yeah.
like grade compared to everybody else. But for the meantime, yeah, let's go back to 9 East here.
Maegashira 9 East, we have Chura no Umi dropping 5 ranks from Maegashira 4 after a 4-11 record. And we got Oshoma also dropping 5 ranks from Maegashira 4 to Maegashira 9 West after a 4-11 record, to which Takeda Fuji says, "What the hell? Those two guys were at the same rank and had the same record, and they're still right next to each other on the Banzuke. What's Ichi Yamamoto doing all the way up there? I can barely see him. We're so far apart now." Poor Takeda Fuji.
I like the implication that the Banzuke is like a physical thing, like he's literally above him.
Yeah.
Like, are these like different floors of a building? Like
I
when they get to the
imagine
hotel for the
a
next
vast
basho, do they
grassy
get like
plain, and like each rank is separated by a half mile.
okay? All right, you just kind of stand here in the grass for a while. We're gonna go arrange your competitors.
Yeah.
Here's your binoculars and a water bottle because
Yeah.
it'll be a while.
All right, so here's the part where I'm gonna go into like, I totally would have done better on this and all that stuff, which honestly I hate that I'm about to go into it, but you know what? I would have done better on this if I just spent a little bit
Here
more time, done my
goes.
normal procedure. So I'm acknowledging how bad I'm about to sound, but I'm still gonna do it. So the reason I messed up is because in my spreadsheet that I use to determine which Rikshi should be ahead of each other, I like physically click and drag a cell in Excel and move it.
Oh,
which
is that why the
allows
borders are all screwy when you
yes.
go back to it? Okay.
Absolutely. So it allows for human error, and human error happened here as I had accidentally put Midori Fuji one rank higher than the math said that he should go. So that made him the next clear Rikishi that should be placed at Maegashira 9 East. And so I had him keeping his previous rank, even though I thought I was demoting him one rank. But
Ah,
if I had placed Midori Fuji where the math said that he should go, I would have had him deserving the same rank as Tamawashi and Meisei, and all three of those guys deserving to be one rank higher than Choda no Umi and Oshoma. In my prediction, I had predicted Choda no Umi and Oshoma would be promoted ahead of Tamawashi and Meisei due to joy bias, which I was correct about. If I had Midori Fuji at the same level of them, I would have placed Choda no Umi and Oshoma ahead of him as well, which would have placed them at Maegashira 9 East and Maegashira 9 West in my prediction, which is where they ended up in the
right.
actual Banzuke.
I gotcha.
So I was wrong, but I should have been right.
If you had followed your own well-documented rules, you would have gotten it right.
No, if I had, it's more that I didn't do my like 3 hour write up for the Banzuke, where I'm really going through with a fine tooth comb and like explaining everything that I'm doing. Because I didn't do that, I missed that. I just kind of
Well, I mean,
assumed everything was correct.
if you had followed your well-established
Oh,
rules,
yeah.
then he wouldn't, yeah, then that initial mistake of dragging him to the wrong space wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And then the tiebreakers that you would have used would have put these guys in the right order.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on. I don't want to dwell too much on like I should have done so much better. But once again, we're going to get more into that. Tamawashi at Maegashira 10 East, rising one rank from Maegashira 11 after an 8-7 record. And then on the west side, we have Meisei rising one rank from Maegashira 11 after an 8-7 record. So in my hypothetical prediction where I had placed Midori Fuji on the right line of my spreadsheet, I also would have gotten Tamawashi exactly correct after placing Choda no Umi and Oshoma. The next group that deserved to be ranked were Tamawashi, Meisei, and Midori Fuji. Tamawashi would have gone first in that group. He was on the east side. He had a better record than Midori Fuji, who was also on the east side. So I would have had him at this spot in my prediction. So I would have had three more perfect predictions here. But I would absolutely not have gotten Meisei correct. So this is a very big head scratcher for me. By all intents and purposes, Midori Fuji deserves to be ahead of Meisei by our typical tiebreaker rules. He has east side bias ahead of Meisei on this, who is on the west side. So Midori Fuji should have landed at Maegashira 10 West, or that's where I would have predicted him to go. But the Banzuke committee went completely off the board here and promoted Meisei ahead of Midori Fuji, breaking the east side bias that we typically see. And this also causes Midori Fuji to be unnecessarily over demoted by a rank, which has always been a big no-no for me in my predictions. Like that's something that I've always harped on. It's like if there's not like a mathematical reason to over demote this guy, we're not going to. We're going to make sure that he doesn't fall too far down the Banzuke. That did not happen here. They are forcing Midori Fuji down an extra rank when he deserves, by the typical tiebreaker rules that we see, to go ahead of Meisei. So yes, Meisei is a luck of the Banzuke candidate, and Midori Fuji is a snub of the Banzuke candidate at Maegashira 11 East.
Ooh, that's a pretty dark red color there.
Missed him by 2 full numerical ranks.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also at Maegashira 11 on the west side, we have Takeru Fuji rising 5 ranks from Maegashira 16 after his 10-5 record. And then at Maegashira 12, we've got Nishikigi dropping 6 ranks from Maegashira 6 after a 5-10 record, making Nishikigi another snub of the Banzuke candidate. This is an over demotion for Nishikigi, but this one was forced due to there being just one too many Rikishi that deserved to be ranked ahead of him, and not enough spots to make room for Nishikigi to go where he deserved by the math. So it's a deserved over demotion. It's a predictable over demotion, as I got that right. But I'm still going to give him snub of the Banzuke candidacy here because it is an over demotion. And especially not egregious, but especially hurtful for Nishikigi when you compare him to another Rikishi with a 5-10 record on this Banzuke in Ura, who dropped 2 ranks.
Right.
And Nishikigi is getting over demoted with a 6 rank demotion for a 5-10 record. Sometimes life just ain't fair.
Mm-hmm. Although, if there is any sort of just power overlooking the world, yeah, given a little bit of extra karma to Ura, also predictable. That would have
Yeah,
made a little bit more sense. So,
absolutely. And then at Maegashira 12 on the west side, we have Onokatsu rising 3 ranks from Maegashira 15 after a 9-6 record. At Maegashira 13 on the east side, Shonan no Umi rises a half rank from Maegashira 13 west to Maegashira 13 east after an 8-7 record. And Shonan no Umi's placement here confuses me a little bit when I think back to Meisei, because Meisei went ahead of Midori Fuji, and I assumed that it's because they wanted to make sure Meisei got a numerical rank promotion for his 8-7 record. But then just 3 ranks later, Shonan no Umi only gets to slide from the west side to the east
yeah.
side.
Okay.
So why couldn't Shonan no Umi break east side bias like Meisei did to go ahead of Onokatsu at Maegashira 12 West? It just seems a little inconsistent to me. That might not be the reasoning, and it probably isn't the reasoning whatsoever, but it's the only thing I can really think of to justify it. But it's definitely an inconsistency in how they are placing Rikishi on the Banzuke, because Meisei and Midori Fuji deserve to be the same rank. Midori Fuji was on the east side, but Meisei went ahead of him. Shonan no Umi and Onokatsu deserve to be the same rank. Shonan no Umi was on the Onokatsu was on the west side. Hold on. Yeah, Onokatsu was on the east side, and he did go ahead of Shonan no Umi in this case.
Yeah. This is so far, other than these ones, they all kind of make sense, I guess. But like this one, like especially the fact that these situations are only 2 ranks apart, almost identical setups, and then just different outcome. Like
The thing is, the Rikishi that had more wins went ahead in both situations.
okay. But I think it is these little things like this where, yeah, I mean there is that consistency, but there are little things. Sorry, go ahead.
But if that were the case, why didn't Takeda Fuji go ahead of Roga?
Yes, there you go. What I'm getting at though is that there are these little things that every single Banzuke, there's at least 1 or 2 of these things where it's internally inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's not like they just had a new guy with a new set of rules do this one or something. It's very clear that there aren't hard and fast rules, and that I wonder what the odds of guessing a perfect Banzuke are compared to like guessing a perfect March Madness bracket or something. Because like
Well,
it's one of those things where there's enough choices where it's just no one's ever going to do it. But
we had one, I think, back. It was either
Really?
2024 or 2023. It wasn't perfect, but I know there were some people, I think Tim Sumo, got all 42 Rikishi at the correct numerical rank. They had a couple misses on the east to west side.
So not perfect then.
Not perfect, but that's I think the closest. That's definitely the closest I've seen. I don't know if that's closest in like the history of Guess the Banzuke, but that's the closest that I've seen.
I would love to hear if it has ever happened because I highly suspect that it hasn't and won't.
Yeah.
Because yeah, there's just no way that unless you are flipping or unless you're in the exact same room watching the same coin flips as the people writing this down,
Yeah.
it's just impossible. There's too many internal inconsistencies, and it's frustrating. But I mean, that's also the whole point. That's why it's fun for everybody to compete and guess as close as they can.
Yep, absolutely. And then we get to Maegashira 13 West. We have Koto Shoho dropping 8 ranks from Maegashira 5 after a 3-12 record. This one's another interesting rank to me. Koto Shoho deserved to go behind Hokuto Fuji, but as you can tell by me not mentioning Hokuto Fuji until this sentence, that did not happen. So Koto Shoho is ranked at Maegashira 5, the same as Tobizaru, who we kind of previously discussed and decided maybe he did get some joy bias. So maybe that's at play here too. Koto Shoho just getting kind of that same benefit. He deserved to be 1 rank behind Hokuto Fuji, so they just gave him a little bit of a benefit there. But Koto Shoho As opposed to Tobizaru, who fought 5 Sanyaku matches, Koto Shoho fought 1 Sanyaku Rikishi and then 2 Maegashira 1 Rikishi. Everybody else he fought was Maegashira 4 or lower. So it's not like he had like a gangbuster schedule or anything like that. Is pretty average, medium sort of Maegashira 5 like schedule for the most part. So,
Sure.
but for whatever reason, they decided that he would go ahead of Hokuto Fuji. And once again, and I am making Koto Shoho luck of the Banzuke candidate, but once again, this placement of somebody that deserves to be behind somebody else causes another unnecessary over demotion
Yeah,
in
what the hell?
Hokuto Fuji, who is now dropping 2 ranks from Maegashira 12 to Maegashira 14 East after a 7-8 record. So kind of very similar to the Midori Fuji situation, putting somebody ahead of somebody else who otherwise deserve to be behind them is forcing an over demotion. I just don't know when I've seen that in a
Yeah.
Banzuke. I feel like this is something new that I haven't really seen before. This Banzuke committee's very good at that, keeping Rikishi with 6-9 records at their previous rank, forcing over demotions when they're not needed. They're just all over, giving joy bias to Maegashira 5s. They're all over the place.
Hmm.
And I am, of course, making Hokuto Fuji a snub of the Banzuke
Naturally.
candidate. Yes. Then we get to Maegashira 14 West, and things kind of calm down at this point. Keen Bozan rises 4 ranks from Jurio 1 to Maegashira 14 West after a 12-3 record.
Oof. That just feels. I mean, I get it, but like,
Yep.
good lord, that is a tiny promotion. What are you supposed to do, man?
I mean,
He
accept
is
the
in the top
fact-
division now. Like, I
Yeah.
get that, but come on.
except that that's how it's done. That's
Yeah,
what you're
I
supposed to
guess.
do. Yeah. Maybe just get 9 wins and then stop trying. Just preserve
Yeah,
your body
seriously.
because it's not going to make a big difference one way or the other.
Mhm.
Maegashira 15. On the east side, we have the return of Haku Oho back to the top division for the first time since July of 2023. It
That is
doesn't feel
longer than
like
I
it's
thought.
been a year and a half,
Yeah.
but dude hasn't been in the top division for a year and a half since Hoshoryu won his U show.
Whoa.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's weird.
Well,
It same.
technically, he was in the top division in August. Sorry, not August, September of 2023, but he was absent for that one, so I don't count it.
Sure.
First time we'll see him on the dohyo in Makuuchi since July of 2023.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, God, that is so much more time ago than I thought.
Before we even saw Onosato or Takeru Fuji, we had Haku Oho. He was going to be the guy, and then
He was the
his shoulders,
first of the new prospects. Yeah.
yeah, and then his shoulders just like, no, we're not gonna handle this. We're gonna need some
Yeah.
surgery, and you're gonna need to go back down to Makushita.
I still have the card above my monitor. You guys opened a pack of cards right after that Basho, and he was the pick that I took from that one. And it's the only series where he goes by Ochiai.
Oh yeah, because that would have been what his Jurio card.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
It
I'll look
would
at it
be.
more later, but it's the one where he still has totally short buzzed hair and he's shaking hands with Hakuho. So the picture is very clearly like from his very first recruitment.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, go on.
So yeah, Haku Oho is rising 4 ranks from Jurio 2 after a 10-5 record. And these next group of Rikishi are all Rikishi that are coming up from Jurio. We've got 5 in a row for Jurio promotees. So we're going to hit number 3 here with Kita Nowaka rising 3 ranks to Maegashira 15 West from Jurio 1 after a 9-6 record. See, Kita Nowaka knows what's up. I'm Jurio 1, get 9 wins, then I'll coast. Don't really need to try any harder than that to get to the top division.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I'm not gonna bust my ass to get one rank higher.
Yeah,
Why bother?
We'll see if Kita Nowaka can get his first winning record in the top division. So this is going to be his 1, 2, 3, 4th time up to the top division. We'll see if he can finally get a winning record. I think it was 4th time the charm for Bushozan before he quickly failed out of the top division after a couple more bashos. So maybe this is Kita Nowaka's time to shine. We'll see. Or maybe he'll Azumaru it and not get a winning record until like his 10th or 11th Makuuchi basho.
Yeah.
Maegashira 16 on the east side. We have Tama Shoho making his top division debut. He's not your typical rookie as he is 31 years old. There was somebody in our Discord. I want to find this so I can give credit to the right person. I believe it was Adam, but he might be the eighth oldest Rikishi to be making their top division debut,
Wow.
but I cannot find where that was. Yeah, it was Adam. Yeah, eighth oldest Rikishi to make their top division debut. So let's take a look at some of our other Rikishi, the top seven Rikishi to make their Makuuchi debut. So we had Bushuyama at number 7, 32 years and 5 months. He was born in 76 and didn't make his top division debut until 2008. Kyoku Nankai, 32 years, 8 months, and 16 days. Born in 77, debuted in the top division in 2010. Tsuru Gidake, 32 years, 8 months, and 24 days. Born in 79, debuted in the top division in 2011. Otoyama was 33 years old. Hoshi Iwato was 33 years and 10 months. Yoshiazuma, 34 years and 3 months. And then the oldest Rikishi to ever make their top division debut, Ono Nishiki, was 34 years old and 11 months, born in 1922 and making his top division debut in 1957. Only one of these Rikishi in the top 10 oldest Rikishi to make their top division debut ever had a highest career rank of higher than Maegashira 10.
Well,
Not surprising.
Yeah, it seems more like he's just been rolling the dice for 20 years and eventually they came up good a couple times in a row,
Yeah.
as opposed to like turning some corner and suddenly he's discovered a new brand of sumo or something like that.
Yeah. He is fun to watch. He very much kind of falls in the pusher puller kind of category where it's going to kind of dance around, look for like a Hataki Komi sort of thing, which is very much Oshoma's game, but Tama Shoho does it in a much more entertaining fashion. Also, Tama Shoho hates the pre-match towel because he's always like biting down on it and like pulling it. So you'll be able to see that kind of, if you don't pay attention to Jurio, you'll be able to see his kind of pre-match routine in the top division now.
If these stats are up to date, he's also a pretty skinny guy.
Yeah, he's pretty small. Absolutely. He's a very small guy.
It's a couple years old, but it looks like his height is about average, maybe even a little taller than average, but his weight in 21 was only 120 kilograms. So like 250 pounds, that's, or more than that, but still well under 300. That is awfully slight. But yeah, it kind of tracks with the stereotype of the slender Mongolians who are good at throwing moves.
Oh, geez. He's also on his 4th Shikona and 4th Heya.
Oh,
he started in Kasugayama, then was Oitekaze, then was Nakagawa, and now he is Kata Onami. And his Shikona started as Takakasuga, and then he was Tanegashima, then he was Kyokusoten, and now he is Tama Shoho. So he has just kind of run the gamut of Shikona and Heya. So
he changed his name 3 times in less than 3 years.
I assume those all would coincide with Heya moves, possibly, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. Oh, maybe we should dig into this a little bit more for the preview. But yeah, that's a fascinating like just it looks like just a completely workman like Makuuchi career up until up until 2022. He started hitting the top of Makuuchi and then Jurio last year, or I guess 2 years ago now in 2023.
Yeah.
Fascinating, yet also kind of boring. We should look into it more.
Yeah. I don't think you'll find him boring on the dojo. I think he'll be very entertaining.
Excellent.
And then our final Jurio promotee from this basho. Yay, it's Kagayaki. He's back.
Hey, he's back. Hooray.
He rises 3 ranks from Jurio 2 to Maegashira 16 West after a 9-6 record. And here are 2 more points that I could have earned on Guess the Banzuke. Because during the Banzuke prediction episode, I could not understand why I had predicted Kageyaki to go ahead of Tama Shoho. I know that I said on the Banzuke prediction, like, I don't know why I did this. Tama Shoho should be ahead of Kageyaki. Basically, both of them were both on the east side, both deserve to be the same rank. Tama Shoho had more wins than Kageyaki, so he should have been ahead of him, which
Yeah,
he was.
cut and dry.
Don't know. I do know I didn't spend enough time on it, but I don't, even on my first blush, I don't think Kageyaki should have been ahead of Tama Shoho. So
Just sort alphabetically or something.
who knows? Then we get to Maegashira 17. On the east side, we have Nishiki Fuji dropping 3 ranks from Maegashira 14 after a 6-9 record. And our final Rikshi on the Hatsu Banzuke is Toki Hayate, dropping 2 ranks from Maegashira 15 to Maegashira 17 West after a 6-9 record. So, as I mentioned, we had 5 Rikshi coming up to the top division from Jurio, which means we're sending 5 Rikshi down for Makuuchi to Jurio. Those are Sada no Umi, Ryuden, Shishi, Asakoryu, and Bushozan. So now let's get to my Guess the Banzuke score. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be,
You were
leaving
distraught.
the
Yeah.
Banzuke prediction, which honestly, credit to me for doing as good as I did, despite some obvious errors. Like, absolute goat to be able to pull that off. But
You have no
I got
peers.
none whatsoever, except for the 3 people now ranked ahead of me in Guess the Banzuke. I got 25 bullseyes out of a possible 42, so that's a 60% bullseye rate. I think this is the highest number I've ever had. I got 10 additional Rikshi at the correct rank, but on the wrong side, giving me 35 total Rikshi at the correct rank for a hit rate of 83%.
That's fascinating. That's
first
almost your best ever.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, it's only a
First
few
place,
percent off.
I think 3 off from my best ever prediction. First place had 37 Rikshi at the correct rank, so I wasn't too far off from that. They had a lot more bullseyes than I did, though, which
Yeah, okay, there
counts
you go.
for a lot. Yeah. And I will just say,
real quick, do you know what the specific scoring is? Is a bullseye worth like 2?
bullseye's 2, and then any additional Rikshi at the correct rank, but on the wrong side is an additional 1. So I had 60 points. 25 times 2 gets you 50, and then my additional 10 points, 60. So I had 60 points. I calculated it. If I had not made those dumb mistakes, and I can't say for certain this is what I would have done. I'm able to look at what exactly the Banzuke is, and I'm trying to say, oh no, I totally would have done this even without the knowledge of what the Banzuke is. Can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure I would have ended up with 66 points, which would have gotten me top like 15, 16 ranking instead of 47th that I got on this one. Still, 47 out of 216 participants for a 10-5 equivalent. I'm gonna blame that on the Banzuke coming out a week earlier than usual. So I had a 1 week less of time to dedicate to working on the Banzuke. That's 100. That's what it was.
Nothing to do with Christmas and trying to blast out like 4 bonus episodes in the same month as Christmas. Yeah, nothing to do with any of that.
Not.
Or your company rolling out like decades worth of software all in 1 year and all under your umbrella that you have to travel the country to train people on. No, nothing to do with that.
No, couldn't be. So my overall rank for the Guess the Banzuke is unfortunately down from number 1. I am no longer best Banzuke guy. You can no longer see the trophy behind me. It's not going to be there unless I'm number 1. But I am number 4 now, so I'm still well within the top 10. This 47th place finish is actually replacing a 51st place finish from Hatsu of last year, so a little bit better. Actually increased my overall average, but I know they weight the more recent Banzukes and Bashos more than the later ones.
And you have, your Kyushu one was real bad too, so that's... Yeah. As that one goes further to the past, that's going to weigh you down less.
Yep. Hey, we just gotta we got to get another top 10 finish in here. It's been 3 Basho since I've had a top 10 finish. It's too long.
Yeah, I mean, you won that one in Aki, and then
Yep.
yeah, you all your Ozeki promotion parades and stuff like that, like we talk about for the wrestlers. You know that
Yep.
those extra responsibilities can impact your next performance.
Yep. Absolutely. So my worst guess on this one, unsurprisingly, Midori Fuji. I had him off by 2 full numerical ranks or 4 ranks in the overall order. The biggest jumps up the Banzuke in terms of sheer numbers, Chiyoshoma with a 9 rank jump. And then the next biggest jumps are 3 guys with 5 rank promotions, Takeru Fuji, Gonoyama, and Takanosho. So Chiyoshoma far and away getting the biggest jump up this Banzuke.
Yeah, almost doubled them up.
Yeah. And then the biggest drops down the Banzuke, Koto Shoho dropping 8 ranks and Nishikigi dropping 6 ranks are the biggest drops down the Banzuke. We've got 2 Rikishi that are going to be at their career high ranking, Ichi Yamamoto at Maegashira 6 and Ono Katsu at Maegashira 12. And once again, 1 more Rikishi making their Makuuchi debut, that being the 8th oldest Rikishi to ever make their Makuuchi debut in Tama Shoho. So, Jake, we've got to figure out who our snub and luck of the Banzuke winners are. So we'll start with snub of the Banzuke. First, we have Gonoyama for ending up behind Tobizaru, who's getting a little bit of suspect joy bias on his side. We have Takeda Fuji for just being separated from Ichi Yamamoto by so much, despite them having the same record from the same rank. We have Midori Fuji, who is getting over-demoted in favor of a Rikishi that in most other Banzukes he would have gone ahead of due to typical tie-breaking rules. You have Nishikigi, just for the fact that he's getting over-demoted. Poor Nishikigi. And we also have Hokuto Fuji, who is also getting over-demoted in favor of a Rikishi that deserves to be behind him. So which of those are you feeling for snub of the Banzuke?
I feel like just because it's the funniest, it's got to be Takara Fuji.
I'm kind of with you on that for the same reason.
How are the? Yeah, there are 4 slots higher for the guy that was supposed to be 1 slot higher. You did exactly the same thing as each other.
What happened was he ran into 3 consecutive Rikishi that had 7 and 8 records in a spot where we are desperate to fill all the holes, and those are the best hole stuffers that we have.
And oh well, I'm gonna let that one go. But he even beat Ichi Yamamoto when they faced off in this spot show.
The absolute nerve of the Banzuke committee to ignore that result.
That's unfair. It's got to be him. Takara Fuji wins the snub of the Banzuke.
Yeah. If that situation hadn't happened, I'd probably say Hokuto Fuji, just because Nishikigi, he got over demoted. He deserved it. Midori Fuji got over demoted, and the person who went ahead of him deserved to be like a half rank behind him due to the East-West thing. But Hokuto Fuji got over demoted in favor of a Rikishi who deserved to be a full rank behind him.
Sure.
But yeah, Takeda Fuji's more fun, so we're going to go with that one. Luck of the Banzuke. I got 6 candidates for Luck of the Banzuke. We have Tobizaru getting the very rare Maegashira 5 Joy Bias. We have Ura with the 2 rank demotion following a 5 and 10 record. We got Chiyoshoma blasting all the way from Maegashira 14 to Maegashira 5. We've got Ichi Yamamoto getting the 4 rank promotion following an 8 and 7 record. We've got Koto Shoho just for being the other side of that Hokuto Fuji snub of the Banzuke coin. And we also have Meisei being the other side of the Midori Fuji snub of the Banzuke coin. So who do you believe deserves the Luck of the Banzuke award?
This one I think is a little even more clear cut. Ichi Yamamoto. 4 ranks for an 8 and 7 is stupid. It's like you said, nothing's completely unprecedented, but like, Jesus, come on. What on earth is that? He got the same promotion that Keen Bozan did for a 12 and 3.
Very true.
What are we doing here?
I mean, I have seen 5. I don't know if I've seen 6 rank promotion. I think we've seen a 6 rank promotion for an 8 and 7. But even still, that doesn't mean the 4.
Yeah, and they probably won Luck of the Banzuke in that one.
Probably, yeah.
I would say Keen Bozan should get a snub of the Banzuke, but Jurio wrestlers are ineligible for awards because
they're not
screw
people.
Jurio wrestlers. Yeah, exactly. They're not treated as human beings until they're in the top division. which hasn't happened yet because the Basho hasn't started. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So that is going to wrap up our Hatsu Banzuke review. The Basho starts on January 12th of this year. That is 11 days away. We before that comes out, we are going to have our 2025 predictions, where I am going to earn the right to introduce the show back from Jake
You
or
sure hope so.
Fleric. We still don't know which one of those two is going to be introducing every show throughout 2025. We need to
I'm
figure
sure we
out,
will open that episode with an argument.
yes, the only way. And then we will have our preview coming out next week for possible double Yokozuna promotion Basho. Will it happen? Absolutely not. Could it happen? Yes, that makes it exciting.
Yep. We're also going to have a newsletter coming out soon. This will be the end of the year newsletter that normally comes out in December. But there is so much stuff going on over the holidays and so much new stuff for this Basho, plus a couple things we've been working on to improve the GSB just overall presentation. Whatever. I'm not beholden to anybody. I put out the newsletter when it's done.
Yep.
So the December issue of the American Sumo newsletter will come out in mid-January.
All right. So until next time, throw your salt high and keep moving forward.